They're talking about baseball. No, I don't know anything about baseball. I know only Virat Kohli. Trust me, I didn't had an idea also that I have to carry a credit card. So that was my situation when I landed on SF. I landed on SF and somebody was saying like pay me $1 just to get the trolley in SF airport. So I don't have $1 in hand. I had all cash in place, and I didn't had a credit card also. I had a debit card, and I'm investing checks every week. And all I look for is a better founders with a better strategy to execute that product.
Welcome to the V Show, Keshav. Pleasure having you here. Finally, we are doing this. So happy to have you.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav. Pleasure having you here, and it's always nice talking to you.
Great. Thank you for the kind words. I think I will just go ahead and talk about OptIQ as per my understanding, and then probably you can take it further by adding more layers to it. So, Keshav is the founder of OptIQ. OptIQ is a unified platform which provides solutions for data storage, data security, and other compliance practices for enterprises.
So enterprise collect a lot of sensitive and regulated data. Either it might be phone number of customer, email ID. Let's take an example of medical companies who are managing. Let's take an example of 1mg. They collect your blood report, urine samples, everything. Look, so if you take any enterprise, they collect large amount of information like financial information, probably health information, personal information. So the major problem is they don't know where exactly this data is and who have access towards this data. And when it comes to team, there is an enterprise will be having a large teams. Either it might be engineering team, customer success team, support team, and everyone will be having a same amount of access, and they can easily visible the customer data. And that's where OptIQ come as an in-between layer, and we help to mask those sensitive data where user can't directly see those data. So that is what OptIQ does. And we do masking, we do reduction, and we are experts with respect to creating a model where we can precisely tell what is the sensitive data is and how we can easily mask it without harming the application performance. So that's what OptIQ does, Vaibhav. And when we do this, eventually it will increase the compliance strength of the company and reduce the amount of time engineering team spends on compliance regulations and all those things.
Let's say we talk about Stripe for an example, right? And Stripe handles transactions from different users worldwide. The problem which we are trying to solve is to say that, there's a lot of sensitive data lying around attached to customers in the Stripe database somehow, right? Of course, different databases and so on and so forth. And there are multiple teams inside Stripe which have access to that data. What is the right way to store that data and the right way to even access that data? That no one person should be able to access or download all the data, right? No one person should be able to access sensitive information like their financial information, their credit card information, and so on, because there are a lot of compliance attached. So OptIQ comes in between as a layer which can provide abstraction on top of access, right? They'll say that okay, if you need anything, you go through our platform and you will mask the data in some form and present. You will only require data to the request versus, let's say, sharing the entire chunk of data. And this way, you protect the security, you protect the vulnerability of any data theft or any misuse of the data, and of course, comply with the security things.
You're absolutely correct, Vaibhav. So what exactly we do is we are an integration tool. We integrate with your entire CI system, CD system, cloud, databases, Snowflake. So name wherever your data and your customer sensitive data is there, right? So we sit on top of you without your team doesn't have to spend any time. Just integrate our tool with all those tools. Integration happen within a 15 minutes with all those tools. Once that is done, our AI model will trigger up and classify entire sensitive data from an unstructured and structured data, figure out where exactly the phone number of customer is there, where exactly email ID is there, where exactly credit card number is there, whether it can be accessible to your customer success team or tech support team. They can easily download, why they download it, what query they run to download it, right? Bring lot of actions and also visibility towards like how your data has been misusing and where exactly it is stored. You can mitigate those. First thing. The second thing, if you want to give certain access, you can give just-in-time access for the particular user, so that you don't have to think about like I gave access to one user, I haven't deleted that user access. So in our case, it automatically decomposes. So you will maintain your data privacy very well. That automatically increases your compliance posture. So you don't have to rethink whenever you go for a compliance certification renewal. So it is very simple. All the data will be evident. So your entire audit journey will be simple and smooth through us.
This reminds me of my time at Goldman. I've heard these many financial compliance words together last time there. So thank you for bringing those memories back. But completely agree with the kind of problem statement which arises, especially in financial institutions and people dealing with any kind of companies dealing with any kind of financial data for that matter.
Yeah. So, and if you see the recent problems is, so as the LLM models problem is like, I mean, LLM is increasing, the synergy of LLM is increasing, everything going through a generative AI. Everybody wants to create an AI company and everybody wants to create a model. So when you're preparing a model, you will prepare the model with a huge amount of data sets, and that data set belongs to customer. That is not your companies, that absolutely belongs to customer. And companies have to be very mindful when they are sharing those data to their like vendors. So that's where OptIQ comes into picture as a middle layer. And as we already have a data sensitivity and data classification system, we easily classify whether those models are misusing the customer's data. That's the first use case. Second use case, for most of all the company, even for Airblack, you might be using a lot of vendors, right? They might come and say that, hey, I'm not, absorbing any customer data of yours. I'm just serving the value. Apart from sales agreement, you don't have any other visibility to, prove that. So that's where OptIQ sits in as a vendor visibility tool. If any vendor absorbs your data or your customer data, will also offer a visibility towards it. So basically, OptIQ is a one unified platform to give entire visibility of the data. Either it might be your cloud, either it might be your SDLC system, either it might be your SaaS system or your LLM models. So we give a precise, clear information where exactly your and your customer data is misusing and how not to misuse that, so that you can always stay compliant and stay secure. So that's the mission and vision of OptIQ.
And that also ultimately, strengthens the belief, and I would say it's also a proof in a sense that the company is compliant to all kind of data policies and all kind of governance needed with respect to data. And this, I would say, becomes very, very critical once companies come to a mid or a big sized enterprise, right?
Yeah. And if you see, in the startup also face the same challenges. Everybody said they are, basically compliant. Nowadays, compliance certification is a easily available certification for in the market right now. But if you want to stand out in your own domain or in your own industry and give a confidence to an enterprise, you shouldn't just be compliant. You have to call yourself as secured. The way you architect your entire system, your entire database, what are the controls you bring in to make sure that your data is secured, and the visibility you give to your customers. So that will make you stand out in the crowd of like everybody have a compliance certification. So in that case, we help small enterprises, mid enterprises, and enterprises bring that visibility and showcase the entire confidence that hey, they are not just compliant, they are secured.
Great, yeah. I think this is a wonderful explanation of what you are doing at OptIQ and see a lot of value add. Now, when I think we were talking about this earlier as well. Now, when you are also reaching out to clients and building your client base in terms of deploying your solutions more, building on top of it and so on and so forth. You have also been able to successfully, onboard few of your major clients from US, right? And while you have been building from India. So that's really interesting because I mean there are many founders, many companies who are literally building in India, right? And are building for the world, right? India is onto that journey now. We have successful examples, of course, and especially in SaaS, who are playing as role models for us. But I mean, there are challenges, right? And especially as an early stage founder. So I'm very curious to understand how the journey has been for you. So, for example, you have to onboard a US client, right? Network with them. So you travel to US, to the Bay Area, found a stay for you in a new city, in a new country, right? Figuring out what are the do's and don'ts, and then figuring out where to network, maybe reaching out through cold emails or cold reach outs, or through your investor network, or through your friends network, and so on. So how was this experience for you? And I want this to be I feel this is really, really valuable because for all those people who are building from India, this seems like a very obvious situation to be in when starting up, right? So wanted to know more about your journey here.
Exactly. I mean, this is everybody's dream who tries to build a B2B SaaS, who especially in India and try to sell to US. So this is the same theme which I had when I, started a startup and I raised a fund based on that only. Hey, I'm gonna build a product here. I'm gonna sell the product in, Silicon Valley or North America. But what I very much understood is if you want to sell in US, you have to be in US. It's not like you will frequently travel. That won't work. You have to be in US. If you want to sell, the first thing as an Indian founders, we have to very much learn is we have to first understand their culture first, right? I'll give a very simple example. I used to be in a very, very large events. I have attended multiple events, been in multiple coffee shops, just randomly picked the guys and started to talk about my startup. And that is the place to talk about your startup. I mean, if you hit anyone in a Silicon Valley, either he might be a founder or investor. So that's how the entire coffee shop is made up of there. So, but if you see, whenever if you try to talk anything in India with anyone, especially as a founder or investor or some potential person, you have a context. You know the culture. You talk about cricket. You talk about festival which has recently happened, or in political issues, environmental issues. You have plenty of things which you can
talk about.
But and that's the where the relationship builds. The best lesson what I learned over there is don't sell. So if you are thinking like I'm going to US and sell my product, take that off from your head in the first phase itself. So you have to go with an empty mindset by being in a clarity of I'm gonna build a relationship with people first. So that's the first goal is. Then sales comes into picture. Sales automatically falls back if you build a strong relationship and if you give them a confidence that what you're good at, automatically sales falls in. For that, you have to create that conversation, interesting conversation with them where they like you, right? Where they love you, first of all. So for that, understanding the culture is very important. Understanding their issues, their political issues, to talk about it, understanding what sport they like, right? I'll give a very simple example. One of the good friend of mine introduced me to the one of the finest founder who is like in a Series C stage, and they are facing exactly the problem what I'm trying to solve. And he was very, very, friendly, and he was trying to talk about NBA and all those things, right? I am not able to understand what is NBA. I was very far off NBA, right? So they're talking about baseball. No, I don't know anything about baseball. I know only Virat Kohli. so that's the very, very simple learning is be there, right? Don't think of I'll go there for some time, I'll do the sales. Be there, stay there, build a relationship, build a community of your own, be involved in multiple communities. There are community for swimming, there are community for surfing, there are community for parties, there are community for Bible reading, right? There are community for just like go for hiking. So be in every communities, get in there, get onto all the communities, whichever the communities you will find. Start talking to people. Don't talk about business, don't talk about what you're building, don't talk about you are a startup founder. Talk about you are a person, you are here to just build a strong relationship with the people. So there, what I understood is if you are strongly attached with people, business automatically lines up. So this is the first learning what I got in Silicon Valley. So, and that continuity helped me to, build a strong relationship with multiple engineering leaders, founders, and investors. And that automatically led me first 2 months. This is what I did first 2 to 3 months. And from fourth, fifth month, automatically business came into, line. A lot of healthy inbounds came into picture. Like one guy introduced to another guy, another guy introduced. So that's how it worked. Right?
How easy was it to, like, I understand you talking about the communities and you being a part of it, but then how did you like really plan it? Because saying you might have gone with a plan saying, okay, I want to pitch to 10 of these companies and find out what the founders there do, how do they like, what are the top activities, maybe through their friends or investors, and I don't know. So did you plan out something like this, or was it like, okay, I'll go to the space and figure out the top firms and then I'll reach out?
Yeah, I mean, I planned a bit, not much, because whatever the cold email I sent, I probably would have sent like 100, 200 cold emails and tried 500 to 600 cold email LinkedIn messages. The response rate would be always like 1 to 2% only. With that, I just went with a blindfold, like nobody, I don't know anybody there. My first trip always like 1.5 year back. So I just went there. I was like, let's go. So trust me, I didn't had an idea also that I have to carry a credit card. So was my situation when I landed on SF. I landed on SF and somebody was saying like, pay me $1 just to get the trolley. in a, SF airport. So I don't have a dollar in hand. I had all, cash in place, and I didn't had a credit card also. I had a debit card. So so that was the first moment, like, hey, this is where the first learning start. If you come to SF, come with a credit card, international credit card, right? That's the first information. Second information, like attach that credit card to your Apple Pay so that your payment is as smooth as Phone Pay right in India, right? So the very basic stuff, like nobody will teach you. And you have to better to be with one international airport, not mandatory, but good to have, right? It hardly takes a day of effort. If you go to, RTO, you hardly take a day of effort to get your international driving license. It's always good to have an international driving license along with your driving license, right? So because if you're staying in Silicon Valley, you must have a car. If you're staying especially out of the city, like Sunnyvale, Mountain View, if you're staying in this place, you should have a car. Okay. If you want to communicate to SF city. So for that, again, a different, like you should have all this documentation in place. So these are the very basic thing you should know as a founder. We should know as a founder that nobody talk about it, right? Once we go there, the things we learn is, okay, I got in for first week, I don't know anything. I randomly stayed in a place called as Burlingame, which is one of the costliest place for me when I, convert dollar into 83. Even though if I eat dosa, even though if I have a coffee into 80, I used to get heart attack. So that's a typical situation of an Indian founder if you go first time, if you go to US. So that was same thing to me, but it was a very good lesson, a very, very good journey. So eventually I understood like where to stay and what is the best place to stay, where I can, if I stay there, what are the people I can came across, and what is the best place to stay for a founder's, connection. What is the best place to stay for an enterprise founders connection? What is the best place to stay for an investor connection? So all these things I learned eventually. Along with that, the culture, the local culture, right? How the people, treat us, and they are very, very warm. I mean, they give a very warm welcome, right? So it is very easy to communicate to people there. If I just give a one glance to them, it's automatically starts with, hey man, good morning. Right. Yeah. So you take that opportunity and say good morning back and just ask few questions like, hey, what do you do? Where are you from? Like, just a normal conversation starts a good day. Right. So that is what it is. Like I didn't go with any plan. Even though I did LinkedIn messaging, email messaging, 1% was the reply rate. All the thing I went there, I started to sit in a, random coffee shops, started to talk to random people, get into random events, even though I'm not invited, uninvited random events, jump on there, like, and then say hi, make introduction of myself and build a community or build a people there. Right. So that is what I did. I didn't go planned. So all was unplanned, and unplanned was always best. And you will get unexpected result that you are not aware of, and you will be really happy with it. And that's the best part of how my journey was.
Got it. Thanks, Keshav. This is exciting to hear. I'm sure you had a lot of fun and a lot of real value creation, right? In terms of people bonding and also in terms of doing business. So we are in a space and time right now where, of course, in terms of venture capital deals happening, we see a lot lesser number of deals happening compared to the last few years, how it was during COVID and post-COVID, right? So how did it impact your space particularly? What are like few of the changes which you are observing?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question. So straightforward answer to say that, like, if the industry has been slowed down in terms of capital investment, the answer is no. Yes, it has slowed down, but as I seen, like, a lot of good companies are still getting very good checks, and especially the booming area right now, which I observed recently, where the investments are too high. One is like LLM space, and second one is security, where there is a huge investment is coming in. Few of the segments are slow, but when I was in SF also, I was talking to one of the finest investors. He was say that, hey, the same question I asked with him, like, how is the market? Does that investment is happening quite often or not? One of the finest answer he gave is, Keshav, I'm not sure about other people. I'm slammed up with meetings and I'm investing checks every week. And all I look for is a better founders with a better strategy to execute that product. So I felt that word very, very accurate. Like it clarified the whole, dilemma what I had in head with just a simple sentence like, hey, I will invest in a founders who are very good with a better execution. Like that is what it takes, right? Like you have a product. If you have a crazy product and crazy solution, if you don't know the execution part, then no use. So he kept it in a very simple way. So that's what I also feel. I personally also saw a lot of my friends and known founders are getting investments in this area, in this situation also, where they have a good numbers in place and good product in place.
Or I think this really helps in the way for everyone who is in this space or looking to build in this space to, approach it in the right way, and of course, not be disheartened by the general vibe which has been for some time. Now, again, coming to the last question, which I have, and this is one of the things which I really enjoy discussing with every founder because it's very unique for every person, is the kind of challenges everyone faces in building a company. Since your company is just around 1.5 plus years old, right? I'm sure there are a lot of firefighting and a lot of challenges which keeps on coming on a daily basis, right? So what are like few of the challenges which you feel were the most critical ones and you have been able to successfully overcome them in the last few years where you have been building the company?
Okay, that's again a very interesting question. So there are lot of learnings in just in 1.5 year, but the pretty much interesting was more than a learning what we learned by ourselves. So the major learning was previously we were thinking like if you want to build a product, just figure out a problem, figure out a solution. But eventually we figured out the matured way of telling is like figure out the GTM first, like how we gonna execute the product, how we gonna sell the product, how we gonna make sure that your product can reach to 1x to 10x. So that matters most because 1x journey gonna be very simple because you're gonna sell to a surrounding people which and when you're gonna message the same problem what you have solved to a 10 people or 100 people, the messaging hits very different, might not be a right solution for 100 people. So always figure out a right GTM. GTM defines what your product is. So for my learning, that is what it is. So, and keeping fundamentals very strong. That is the second point. First one is GTM, keeping us GTM straight. Second one is fundamental. Fundamental in the sense what product we are building, what tech we are using. Starting from there, like how much money we are spending on each and every aspects, right? Like not just like, hey, I'm randomly spending the money. Always be mindful in spending a money, whether it is even a dollar, always be mindful. But we are in a startup journey. You can't build something without spending money, right? Especially if you are building a product and selling to North America and all, you have to spend the money either for marketing, either for event. But we have to be very mindful in spending that. That is what I say. So keeping the fundamentals always strong, either in terms of a tech, either in terms of expenditure. So that's the biggest lesson. And third is always managing people, very strong and very sensitive one. We have to always try to listen what our founding engineers are talking about product. What is the confidence we are building to them? Either it might be sales team, marketing team, engineering team, always to, listen to them. It's not about talking to them. It's about listening to them. Just ask what's your problem? How can I help you? That one simple, how can I help you will solve a lot of problems. And asking that question gently and understanding what they need, what is the growth they are expecting, right? Today, while interviewing, if they say like, hey, I want to become a lead, focus on, making them lead and how can we make them a lead, right? So, and showing the motivation towards it absolutely works, and appreciating them in a very in a frequent way of what they have done, right? So that's where in our company also we do a pretty simple celebration called as weekly clap. Every week we celebrate one particular individual who have done gone upward and onwards to make sure his job has been done in a pretty perfect way, and that
Oh, wow.
motivates the team. So yeah, appreciation is always the key to manage your people, and that's the learning out of my entire 1.5 journey.
Great, yeah. I think these are bang on point. These probably cover everything very well in a great articulated way. So, thank you, Keshav. I think this has been a great time. I particularly really enjoyed and got to know the few new nuances of the B2B SaaS space. So, thanks for all that, and thanks for taking out time on a late evening. I
Yeah.
hope OptIQ and I wish OptIQ all the best to make it a success, and of course keep flying as you are.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav. I mean, same thing with you. You spend a lot of time to listen and like you exactly articulate the industry problem. Love to have a conversation as always. Thank you so much for having me.